if truth is relative, what's the basis of that truth?
Never really thought about this before. I can't do the answer it.
Where does absolute truth come from?
I'm not sure. Never really thought about it.
Where would it come from? I don't know. How would I know? I mean, I don't know what absolute truth is exactly, so don't know where it is. Never found it before.
Is there absolute truth?
I asked you first.
Oh, no, there's not.
Nothing.
Yeah. I believe in absolute truth.
Where does absolute truth come from?
You can help here.
I couldn't.
Yes, you could.
That's a good question.
That's a good question. Yep. Absolute truth.
Absolute truth comes from, I think, inside, from your mind and your heart, whatever you feel is right.
So absolute truth is inside of you.
Yeah.
Do you believe in absolute truth?
Sure. Yeah, I do.
What is an absolute truth?
Something that's universal.
All right. And where does that truth come from?
Comes from the society.
So what if the society changes its mind?
Then the absolute truth changes.
Doesn't that mean it's relative?
Everything's relative, though.
If truth is relative, what is its basis?
It's probably relative to who you are, what you consider truth to be.
Everybody's definition of truth is different.
All right. So then if truth is relative, right, and you have your truth, and I have mine, and you have yours, how do we figure things out?
There's no standard. There's no way, no one's out there that's high enough or anything to say, okay, this is truth, you gotta run by this, you know?
Like, people say the Bible's true. Like, people will go and worship it and say it's true, but I really don't see any, like, real proof that it's true. That, like, that Jesus Christ was living and that all that went on. Like, the crucifixion, what was it? Crucifixion? Yeah, all that stuff. I don't get how people can believe in God, you know, when nobody's ever seen them.
I'm sure if you believe in something a lot, you can prove it. Like, if someone is very strict on their belief, then they can definitely prove it. I'm pretty sure. Or it's false. Or if there's two people arguing about something, about, you know, if it's truthful or not, then one of them has to win, hopefully, in that, you know, conversation. So, yeah, there's an absolute truth, I think.
In your opinion, there's nothing that is true that is beyond your understanding.
No, I wouldn't say that.
What would you say?
I would say that I carry around my truths with me wherever I go, and sometimes I come in contact with other truths that I think are more true than my truths, so I can adopt other people's truths. Does that make sense?
There's nothing that's absolutely true.
Right.
Then what is the standard for truth?
It's all based on, in my opinion, just like cultural customs.
What is the basis for truth?
Your experiences, the situation.
I think truthfulness is through somebody's own perspective.
So, if truth is a human characteristic, then is there anything outside of human understanding that could be true?
I don't know, it's kind of getting kind of deep.
Where does human come from? How did human get created? You know, it's the same question as that. It's a question that can't be answered. No matter how you try, you can't answer that question. There's so many questions you can answer, like that, like this one right now. Like, absolute truth, like talk about gravity, talk about the sun being hot. Where does it come from? We can't answer that question.
Absolute truth comes from your own beliefs. When you examine things that you want to believe in, you eventually end up in a certain set of beliefs where you get your absolute truth.
So is absolute truth inside of you?
Yeah. Absolute truth is what you make it for yourself. It won't be the absolute truth for somebody else, but for yourself, it will be that absolute truth for you.
But doesn't that make it relative in the sense that if it's true for you but not true for me?
Yeah, it's very relative, and this is why everybody's on their own individual journey to find the absolute truth for themselves. It's an individual basis.
Okay? Thanks. Do you believe in absolute truth?
Yes.
All right. And where does that come from? Where does absolute
Where
truth?
does the belief come from, or absolute truth?
Where does absolute truth come from?
God.
And what does that suggest for our lives if absolute truth comes from God?
It means you have to believe in God and trust in God. And therefore absolute truth.
Where does that come from? Where does absolute truth derive from?
I don't know. God, I guess. I don't.
Really? Okay. If God is an absolute truth, then what does that suggest for our lives?
I don't know. I guess that we need God or something. God. Yeah.